The Historian Client Report is an add-in to Microsoft Word that allows you to query one or more Wonderware historian databases and return the results in a Word document. So every time you open Report, you are opening a blank template. That is the starting point for any report documents you create. By default, this template is located under the C drive, Program Files, Microsoft Office, and depending on the version of Office you have installed, you have to find the startup folder. So here, for example, I have two versions, one that is backwards compatible with previous versions of Office and the one for my current version. Now, depending on your operating system, you will find the access to report in a different way, but here in my Metro UI, I have a tile configured for it. So when I click on it, what opens is a Word document. And notice that when it opens, it has this watermark that says Wonderware Historian Client. Now you can customize this one, you can change it because it is a header basically. So if I go to the Insert menu, Header, and select Edit the Header, there I have my icon. I can remove it and change it for whatever I want. Now notice that here, the same as with Workbook, we have a new tab. The tab is called Historian. And here we have all the functions that will allow us to create our reports. Now, if you don't open Report by using the link that is created when you install Historian, but you open Word normally, so let me go and start Microsoft Word, and I will start a blank document. Notice that I still have my Historian tab, and I still have all the functions here available to be used and create my reports. The only difference is that I don't have that header with the Historian Client watermark on it. Now, the advantage of using a template as the base for your reports is that you can use it as the basis for other report documents. So you can take this template, modify it, save it as a template, and then do modifications and rerun your reports as many times as you want. So let's start checking which options we have here. The first button is the connection management, and we are familiar with this one. We get the server list configuration dialog box. Here you enter the information of your Historian server, the name of your node, which kind of security you want to use. In my case, I am using integrated security. Timeouts if you want to configure any. And here in the server list, you will have a list of all the historians available. Now, if you have never connected before to a historian, this dialog will be empty. But since we already used it before, it is populated with the information of the last connection to a valid historian server that we have. So I'm going to click Close because I already have my connection. And then the next button says Insert Query. If I click on it, we know this one as well. This one is the Direct Query dialog. And here we select the name of our historian server, and then we have the button Bring up the query form. And if you remember, when we click on this one, we open the Wonderware Historian Client query. So from here, we can write our queries. For example, a history value for the last 5 minutes in white format. And I want the report for my M100LT.pb and my M100.tt.pb. I click OK. Now here I can see my query. And here on the bottom, the options are show the results in a single cell or in a table. And if you have selected show results in a table, you can include the column headings, meaning the name of the columns is going to be the same as the headings of the table. And then you have also the option to show headings on every page. So if the amount of data you are retrieving is such that you need several pages to display it, then on every page it's giving you the option to show the headings. Now I'm going to select it. And then we have this button called Format Table. If I click on it, here I have a list with all the predefined formats for tables. So we can select none, so we don't want to give any format to the table. Or notice as I select each of them how the format is changing. So you have all these options to format your table. So I'm going to select List 2. Now here you have some additional options. For example, if you want to see the borders or not, if you want to see shading or not, font, color, or out of it. I'm gonna leave all of those checked because those ensure that my data is gonna look good. And then you can apply special formats to the headings, to the first column, to the row banding, the last row, last column, or column banding, where banding means applying shading to alternate rows or alternate columns. So I'm gonna leave all of those checked and click OK. And now if I click OK, I don't see anything. Why we are not seeing anything? Because remember, we are using a template. So right now this template has the query, but we haven't run the report. We need to run the report to actually retrieve data. Now this is kind of confusing because you cannot see anything on your page. So we have this option here in Office called toggle field codes. Well, what is a field code? It is a special string of text in a Microsoft Word document that includes instruction for data processing. So it's like a keyword that Word understands, and when we run the report, Word replaces this field code with actual data. So if I select here toggle field codes, now I can see my query. And all my field codes appear between the curly brackets. So you can see that actually the whole query is considered a field code. Other field codes that we can add are the report date and the report time. So for example here, I'm going to start giving some form to this report. So I'm going to click enter twice and I will insert the report date. There it is. It's a field code. And now enter and I'm going to insert the report time. And maybe here at the beginning, we can also insert the company logo. So here I have this huge image that I can make really small. And then it goes like the header of my report. Now I'm gonna add my signature, your dear trainer. Now let's save this document as a template. Why? Because remember, if we don't save it as a template and we run the report, all these field codes are gonna be replaced by data and we will never be able to see that template again. So if we want to reuse it, we should save it as a template first. So here on the Historian tab, we have the option to save the report. And notice that the application is taking me to the default location for the Word templates. So I'm going to save this one as my template. Make sure you're going to save the document as a Word template. Click Save. And now we want to see data. So the next step is to click on the Run Report button. And when I click on it, notice that all my field codes are going to start to be replaced by data. And here we have it. This is my report date, my report time, and my query with all the formatting that I configure for it. Notice that I have several pages, and on each page I have my headings, and the headings are the actual names of the columns retrieved on the query. Oh, and at the end, I should have my signature. There we go, your dear trainer. So now that we have this report where we don't have any more field codes for actual data, you can also save this one because you already have your template. So you will always be able to use it later on. Now, this data, maybe you want to keep it for your records. So you can save the document as a regular Word document, or you can save the results as HTML. So if I click here, the system is going to allow me to save this as a web page. So I can call it June Gold Batch. And I'm going to save it under my training folder. And that's it. I have my report saved. Now, I want to run it again. So I'm going to close this document. I'm going to open Word again. And I'm going to open my template dot, which is the extension for a template. So I'm going to click on it. And here I have it again with my query available. Now you must be careful with this scenario. Let's say I open my template, I go to my Historian tab, I click on the Run Report. Okay, so now I have all my data. I'm not going to save it yet. I just want to close it. Word is going to ask me, do you want to save the changes to this template? Now the answer should be no, because the moment you save this document, you are overwriting your template. So I click Don't Save. Now let's go back to the template. I'm going to open my template. And what happens if I realize later on that this is not exactly what I was looking for, that I am missing a column, I want to retrieve more data? So you can always edit this query again. If I go back to my Historian tab, click anywhere within the query, I have the option here to edit the query. If I click on it, here it is. I have here again my direct query dialog, and here is my query that I can edit anytime. Now you can always write your query here manually. You don't have to use the Historian client query. Now if I still want to use the tool, I can again click in the Bring up the query form button. And here it is my Historian client query, and I can rewrite my query here. Now I can also change the format. For example, if I don't like the format that I used before, I can change it for list 3. And if I run it, this is just testing, so I'm going to select no. And here it is my report with my new format. Okay, so I think we are ready for the next lab.